Good morning, traders. I am Emily Advani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Monday, July 28th. Investors kick off this week as they await the latest from the Fed, the latest data on jobs, and the latest earnings from big tech. To end last week, Wall Street saw a boost on Friday, attempting to make up from losses earlier in the week. The Dow jumped more than 650 points, or 1.6%. The S&P 500 added 59 points, or 1.1%. The Nasdaq picked up 176 points, or just more than 1%. Bill, let's get into a new week and today's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Yes. Good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&Ps. The S&Ps are up 0.4%. That's positive. We're going into a session and the market is green. And this is one of the busiest weeks of the summer, I need to point out. I mean, with the focus really being on corporate earnings and the FOMC meeting. Now, this morning we got, reports from McDonald's and On Semiconductor, but there's a host of big tech earnings coming out later this week, and the market's preparing for these. Let's not forget there's an FOMC meeting, which is scheduled for Wednesday. And, you got to watch their narrative because I think they're really going to shift. They're going to shift their focus from talking about inflation to really they're going to start talking about employment data. And that's going to be the key for them to start lowering interest rates. Now, we also got central bank meetings from the Bank of Japan and the Bank of England this week. But there's a lot of key big tech earnings coming out. And also, I want to point out NVIDIA's CEO. He's going to be speaking today after the close. So there is a lot happening today and the week ahead. But you look at these European markets. We take a quick look at what's happening in Europe, and we get the DAX up 41 points, or 0.22%. We get the CAC up 71 points, or 0.87%. The FTSE's up 0.87%. The CAC is actually lower, 0.44%. In Germany, we're seeing some weakness in autos. In London, you get that Bank of England meeting this week, but luxury stocks are weak in Europe, and that's really causing that market to pull back a little bit. So those markets in Europe were higher. They've since pulled back a little bit, so I'm keeping an eye on them. But then we looked over last night at Asia, which really got a shot in the arm from the U.S. markets, and they really took advantage of that. You look at the Nikkei. The Nikkei jumped 801 points, or 2.13%. And that was the first time it has traded higher in like 8-9 sessions. You look at the Hang Seng in Hong Kong, that jumped 217 points, or 1.28%. Really on the back of the U.S. market. Shanghai and China, it finished slightly higher. It did gain, but there's a Politburo meeting coming up, and as well as the Fed meeting. So we'll have to wait and see if we can get any additional gains in China overnight this evening. But turning our attention to oil, oil continues to remain weak. You got WTI, which is trading lower. I mean, WTI is at $76.87 a barrel, whereas in Brent's at $80.80 a barrel. I mean, that's down, closing in on 0.5% lower. China's economic issues continue to weigh. That continues to be the key focus. There's ceasefire talks going on in Gaza, which, is bearish for oil, and the U.S. rate cut, which is a possibility, later in September. That's also a bearish factor. But yeah, oil prices are having trouble moving forward. But that's what I have for in terms of morning market update, Emily.
Bill, as you mentioned, it's a busy week all around, one of the busiest weeks of the summer here, in terms of earnings action, economic events, and other market moving news. We're going to dive into it today and throughout the week right here on NewsWare's Trade Talk. And you're following all of this information using your NewsWare. Earnings, you pointed it out, big tech, but there have been some other interesting names that have released. So, Bill, what is going on in terms of earnings action today?
Oh, well, we're starting off with On Semiconductor, ticker ON, Oscar Nancy. I mean, listen, they did a 4-cent beat. They did it on higher revenue. You look at the stock today, On Semiconductor's trading higher by 7.6%. Then you're looking at McDonald's, MCD, Michael Charlie David. They missed by 10 cents, and they did that on lower revenue. McDonald's is trading up by about 0.4%. Interesting. Upcoming this afternoon, we got Crane and Company, ticker CR, Charlie Richard. EPS is $1.24. Expected move is 7.74%. We also have F5, FFIV, Frank, India, Victor. They're coming out this afternoon. Their EPS is $2.97 with the expected move of 7.19% when they release, Emily.
Bill, the other area that is hot this week, and we're watching plenty of data, are economic events. Obviously, the FOMC meeting is a big headline here, but along with a whole bunch of jobs data. But we're going to take it day by day with Monday. Bill, what is going on in terms of the day's economic events?
Listen, the only real report I see going out today is at 10:30 a.m. We got the Dallas Fed manufacturing survey. That's really it. But it's really a big week for employment data because tomorrow you have the JOLTS data. Wednesday, you have the ADP data, and you also have the Fed announcement. Thursday, you have jobless claims. Friday, you have the non-farms payroll because it's the first Friday of the month. So, employment data is really going to be in focus this week. And, but today, one report coming out there. But let's, we're preparing really for that Fed announcement on Wednesday, Emily.
And you're prepared, Bill, because you have NewsWare. You're watching all of this information and data. You have alerts set up to follow these economic events along with the earnings releases, but you also follow different types of news, data and information coming out of different sectors and segments, things like merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings, other catalysts. You're looking at your stocks grouped together, like your FANG stocks and your Dow 30 stocks. So, Bill, what else do you see as possibly moving the markets today?
I'm just doing a quick data check real quick. I'm showing, 24 stocks higher, 5 lower, 1 unchanged. So, we'll have to wait and see how the market opens up. But you're looking at some of the news behind the headlines. It's Apple, they're said to be planning on adding advertisements into Apple TV Plus. McDonald's, I see MCD, they're forecasting over 1,600 net restaurant additions in 2024. 3M, let's face it, 3M had its best trading day ever on Friday, up 23%. Just remember, we called it Thursday. We said that was our stock of the day on Thursday. Boeing, ticker BA, boy, Apple, Boeing, the former Rockwell chief Kelly Ottenberg looks to be part of the potential list of candidates for the new CEO job of Boeing. In terms of mergers, NSTAR, ticker ESGR, Edward, Sam, Grace, Richard, they're going to be acquired by Sixth Street for $5.1 billion or $338 a share. In terms of guidance, Integra Life Sciences, they lowered their 2024 EPS view to $2.41 to $3.57. See, that's done on the low end because it was 301 to 311, so now it's 241 to 357. Street estimates at 304, which is kind of in the middle, but I don't like it. That's not good guidance. Anyway, you kind of try and shape it. What other guidance news do we have? On semiconductor, they see Q3 coming in 91 cents to $1.03. The street estimate is 97 cents. Okay, that's not bad. That's all I see there. In terms of catalyst calls this morning, Corvo, tickers QRVO, Quinton, Richard, Victor, Oscar. The Citibank places them on a positive catalyst watch going into earnings. SWKS, Sam, William, Kilo, Sam's. Skyworks, Citibank places Skyworks on a positive catalyst watch going into earnings. And also, I want to point out that NVIDIA CEO, NVDA, Nancy Victor, David Apple, and Meta Platforms CEO, Mark Zuckerberg's Michael Edward, Tom Apple, they're scheduled to speak today at a conference to discuss the future of AI. You got two of the top CEOs and big tech talking this afternoon. I got to pay attention. I think they start talking at 4 o'clock. So that's what I have for you in terms of news in the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. We've now made it to that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, a lot going on this week. What do you have for us on this Monday?
Going with HWN. Henry William Mary. Henry William Mary. That's Howmet Aerospace. Earnings are out tomorrow morning. The EPS is 60 cents. Expected move 8.22%. Friday's call volume 1,528 calls versus 546 puts. That's like it's not 3-1, but it's close. Open interest 10,771 to 5,262. It's not 2-1, but it's close. Major brokers are positive. They're raising price targets on this stock, and they all like the stock. And last quarter they beat estimates and they raised guidance. I love to see that. In terms of getting into a price, I listen. I want to get in 83 or under. I don't think maybe 82 if it kind of gets there to that range. I don't think that's really going to happen. I think this smart one's going to jump off the opening, but we'll have to wait and see because the spread's $1 wide right now, so it's kind of hard to say. But anything low 83 or 83 or under would be a great opportunity for this one. So that's my pick of the day. HWN, Henry William Michael, Howmet Aerospace. That's my stock of the day, Emily.
We will follow that along with you. And coming up, we're going to take a look back on Friday and do a recap on that pick of the day. So stick with us. But ahead of that, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our Hot Off the Press segment. Bill, take it away.
Okay. MASI, Massimo, safety net RPM reduces remission in ED visits post-surgery. Okay. RTX award, they got a contract over the weekend. Let's see what else we got here this morning. Alibaba, ticker BABA, reportedly is planning to hike service fees for merchants. Target, ticker TGT, Tom Grace Tom. They announced the first ever Demon buyback event where you can trade in your jeans and you get a 20% discount off of new denim purchases. That's interesting. Abbott Labs, ABT, Appleboy Tom, they were ordered to pay $495 million in a baby formula verdict. Not good for them. Biogen, ticker BIIB, trading lower as EU regulators reject Alzheimer's treatment developed in a drug they developed with SC. McDonald's reports Q2 same-store sales down 0.7%. Air Lease, ticker AL, Apple delivers 6 new Airbus A220s to Croatian Airlines. GlaxoSmithKline Beckham, ticker GSK, Grace Sam Kilo. They announced a settlement with Kimbrough, who's an individual suing them to resolve that Zantac case. MGM, Michael Grace, they expect to post a loss at similar levels in the second half of the year as the first 6 months due to a ramp up investment in marketing and customer experience. NASDAQ, ticker NDAQ. I mean, listen, they sold, they gave a bunch of stock to Thomas Bravo, and Thomas Bravo is going to turn around and sell 41.6 million shares of it. This is a transaction they did to buy out a company that was owned by Thomas Bravo, and then Thomas Bravo is not waiting around. They're selling the stock. You look at NASDAQ; it's down this morning. Probably will continue to trade lower as they continue to sell shares. Thomas Bravo has nearly a 14.9% stake in NASDAQ. Walt Disney, that Marvel movie Deadpool and Wolverine lit up the box offices over the weekend with 205 million in ticket sales. That's what I have for news hitting the tape this morning, Emily.
Okay, Bill, before we sign off and dive into trading to start this week, let's do that check-in on Friday's pick of the day, which was Crane and Company. You did give us a preview of their earnings back up during your earnings report. On Friday, you were looking to get in this one at a discount and make a gain from there. The low on Friday was in the 156 range, and it went up from there. So, Bill, how did your call work out?
Well, I mean, listen, it worked out. I mean, if you look at just look at the numbers. The stock opened up at 158.01, and then it ran to 160.39. So after that opening bid, it gained more than 1%. But the markets were so the market and the spread in the stock was so wide. It was $100 wide Friday mornings, which makes it impossible to really give a good guidance on an opening price. The stock did fall down to 156.82 and then ran back up to 158.87. So there are a couple opportunities there, but it did deliver the 1% off the opening bid, off the opening print. So that was good to see, Emily.
We will call that a win there, and we will check in with you tomorrow about today's HWM pick of the day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here tomorrow and each weekday morning this week at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Bonney, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.